The theme was Imagine Me. So with the first graders, there's a really fun book called I Can Be Anything. So we talked about what they would like to imagine themselves being when they grow up, like most kids do. But Jerry Spinelli, the author of I Can Be Anything, thought of crazy fun things like pumpkin grower and puppy dog holder and baby sis soother and tin can kicker and some mixing bowl liquor, all kinds of fun things that they could be when they grew up. So to imagine all these fun things. With the second grades, there's a book called How Can You Dance? And in this book, this kid imagines, well, how can you dance? What if one foot is sore? What could you do? What if you were in the water? How could you dance in a pool? Or what if your knees couldn't bend? How could you dance then? Or what if you were as mad as a bee? How could you dance? And the fun one that they liked was, how can you dance when you're the king of the when you want to dance with your ma or pa? Dance like you're the king of the cha-cha-cha. So we had them go out and get teachers when we performed for the school, and then they went out and got their ma and their pa and they danced the cha-cha. This book called Morning Dance, Sherman, the kid in it, is just tired of doing the same thing every day, the same old boring thing. So one morning he makes up a dance. So that's what the second graders did. I had them create all kinds of very boring moves to begin the dance with. Very boring, same thing, repeated over and over again, and they all came from them. It was all their movement. And then they created a really crazy morning dance. We switched gears with the music too, crazy wild music, and the kids created a morning dance.
In this case, with just 2 weeks, to be able to learn something and block it and perform it, I had to give them what we were doing. So these are just some stories that I've been wanting to do. The Forest Hotel is a counting story, and of course we didn't do 1, 2, 3 people, 4. That would have required 50 people. But just whoever wanted to be, whatever, and let them. And then I made up a song to go with it for a round they went up and down, so that we were doing something together. And then we made visors at school for all of the children, so they all had headbands or visors for their animal or insect, and then they got to do the rest of their costume at home with their families. And so that was a fun two-way street. And then the 3 little kittens, I just thought would do really well with first grade, and they were adorable. And and as the artist, Victoria Lyons, said, all I had to do was harness what was already there. All I had to do was teach them the words, because they were providing the meaning. And then the second grade did Stand Back, Said the Elephant, and I wanted to do that. The book is Stand Back, Said the Elephant, I'm Going to Sneeze, but it's done with animals. But I wanted to do it with insects, because we can make visors more easily at that age for insects. So we changed the words, and they had a fun time. And then I wanted to add music, so like I said, we added music with the one. With the kittens, we added music, you would call it incidental music. So it's music that kind of cues you as to what's happening. And then while they spoke, there was nothing. But then the music for the last one was the children themselves. So they were having to do double duty, which I wondered whether second graders could do it, and they did.
I started at the beginning of the residency teaching just a basic drum rhythm, and the first 3 basic rhythms that I always teach first to the kids, and then I watch them as they play those and learn those rhythms for the first 3 or 4 days, and I let each group kind of grows into their own way and own style and what they like and what they do the best at. With the third graders, they really like to vocalize and say the vocals and say the rhythms, and so I thought this is the group that needs to sing a song along with it. And so they grew from the song, and then they wanted to include some of the first 2 rhythms that they learned, and so we put those together with the song and then the 2 rhythms. The first grade, they were really into call and response, and I'd even have the students come up and be the caller. We had a little rainstorm the other day, and I said, you guys want to make your own rainstorm? And they said, sure. And so I showed them how to do the rainstorm, and they said, we want to perform this. This is fun. And I told them about my thunder drums, and they says, oh, we got to have them. And I hadn't brought them down with me. So I made a special trip at the beginning of the week all the way back up to get my thunder drums and bring it down so that they would have them. And so that was the first grade, call and response and the thunderstorm. And then the second grade, they really liked a segment that I call making a groove. We just start with a basic rhythm, and then we add things to it and keep adding, and then I say mix it up, and they all just stay on beat but play their own rhythms. And they really, really got into it and really liked it. And so as one of the rhythms that we did at the beginning was the West African 3 and the West African 6. And I usually teach it to the younger kids because they really can see beauty dancing and then the beast dancing. The beauty, step, tippy toe, step, tippy toe, step, tippy toe, and then the beast is tippy, 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 boom, 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 really, really heavy. And they really got into it.
The first graders, we based some of their art on some first grade storybooks, one by Eric Carle, Draw Me a Star, and the other one was based on another children's book called Rainbow Fish. And then for our printmaking day, the most appropriate first grade thing to do was potato prints. So we made those cute little penguins out of potatoes. The second graders, we kept it pretty animal based, and one of the first, actually the second day, with everybody we got to do paste paper. So every grade got to experience different uses of paste paper. And so the biggest use of paste paper for the second grade was owls, and then they used some in their seahorses. The second grade was all kept very animal based, lots and lots of animal imagery to explore. And then the third grade was based on different cultures around the world. And so we talked about African mudcloth, the sun inspired by Aztec and Mayan suns, but drawing them with a lot of geometric shapes. And the fish is a Japanese art, fish printing. And then also the weaving. Lots of cultures do weaving, but we mostly talked about the most prominent local weavers, which are the Navajo weavers here right in our own state. Kids are super creative, and you just need to keep them focused and harness the energy and let the creativity happen.
I know most people think when they think of dance, they think of a dance teacher who's going to set a piece on kids, and you're going to do this for 8 counts, and you're going to do this, and then you're going to do that. But that's not the way the state core is written. And so you let the movement come from the kids, and it's always wonderful to see what they come up with. And here at Rees, there were some great kids that had awesome ideas to share, that the teachers told me they're usually very shy in the classroom, and they were able to come up with these incredible moves that they taught. They had to teach their move to the rest of the students, and so that was a lot of fun. It was great fun doing that.
I'm always surprised by first graders, because I always think, they're young, they're just beginning to read, they're going to have a hard time with it, and they never do. They just take to it like fish, they swim with the beats, they feel the rhythms, they say the rhythms, and it always surprises me. And this year we had a number of kids from the special ed class come in too. You couldn't have told the difference. They were just as much into it. And so the first graders always surprise me.
I don't know that they surprised me at all. What pleased me so much was to see shining eyes out of every single child. I would sit there where I could, look at them and direct them, and you could just see every single child was trying their best. There are some kids out there who can do music or they can do art, and they're really maybe never going to be great in math or reading, but they can do other things. And on the other hand, there are all of us out there who have done a hard thing. 2 weeks ago, we didn't know this, and now we've performed it. We've done a hard thing, and that gives us more confidence. But really what I was seeing shining in their eyes was, I am doing something important.